Hey everybody, today's video I'm going to address another subject on altered dominant sevens, but I'm going to talk about the major triads that you can use over a dominant seven chord. And these are triads that are coming from relative keys, and we want to think of the family of dominant sevens. So I'll address it over G7, but you can transpose it to the other dominants as well, so check it out. So let's have a look here and see. I've talked about this before in other videos where I've addressed which triads belong to the key that G7 belongs to. And the relative keys obviously would be E flat for B flat 7, G flat for D flat 7, and A for E7. In the last video I talked about using those triads for your dominant 7 chords, and that would mean that you'd go in minor thirds: G major, B flat major, D flat major, E major. But there are other triads that work very well for your dominant 7. A video I did a while ago, and it's actually a topic in my book, Getting Your Improvising into Shape, is that if you just take two of the major triads in the key of C, one would be G and F, those are two that are a whole step apart. That's the bass triad for G7, and a whole step down, F. They contain 6 of the 7 notes. You have the root, you have the third and the fifth, you have the flat 7, the 9, and the 11. So you have the extensions in there. But what you can also do is, if we're using some of the triads from the family of dominant sevens, we know we have D flat 7, which we can use. And the D flat 7 has the flat 5 and the flat 9 for G7. So it sounds like this. If we take that, we've got the flat 5 and the flat 9. And the other note we have, of course, is the flat 7 right here. But if I move that triad up a whole step to E flat, and I talked about E flat being a possible triad for G7, we now have the root, the sharp 5, and the sharp 9. So here we had, for the D flat, we had flat 5, flat 9, and here we have sharp 5, sharp 9. So you can combine those two triads, and it's a nice way to alter that G7. Check it out. It has a nice dissonant sound to it because we have the altered notes in there. And again, when you're making chords like sharp 5, sharp 9, or flat 5, sharp 9, or flat 5, flat 9, these are ways to isolate just a simple way to find a shape that works over that. I have the bass triad here, and I have the 9, 11, and the flat 7. But here I've got some alterations, so I can actually take D flat, E flat, F, and G. Check out how that sounds. Now, of course, I'm just using the first 3 strings mainly. Sometimes I'm using the 4th string, and I use some different inversions. You might notice I played a D flat here as opposed to here, so any inversion is going to give you a certain kind of color. So you have to be aware of, when you play the fingerings, what color is that and how does it resonate to you. The next thing is that we could add one more triad that we haven't talked about, and that is E major. From our relative family of dominant sevens, and E7, and E major is the bass triad. So now we would have G, F, E major, E flat, and D flat. Check it out. A variety of great sounds. And again, every inversion is going to give you a little different color and little different leading tones. And again, this is the best way to practice it. Just loop or get a playback that has just a G7. If you played an altered dominant underneath to play over the top, then of course these are going to work as well. But the thing is when I'm playing just the straight G7, I'm in command of creating these colors that give these different types of tensions. And that's really what it is. And that is the key, really, to playing outside, because we're not playing outside of the chord. We're not playing just one specific key, but we are playing one specific dominant 7 with many different colors created by those alterations. The more you can start to map out where those sounds are, even if you just use the flat 5, flat 9, or you'd use the sharp 5, sharp 9, they're all valid. Now there's some more. A major, so now we've got A major, G, F, E, E flat, and D flat. So now, why does A major work? Well, A major, if you play that, here's a G major, it's the bass triad, we move everything up here, so A is the 9, and now we have the C sharp. What's the C sharp? That's the flat 5. And we have an E, we have the 13. So we've got a few of these things repeating themselves, but we also have some new sounds. So the last one I'm going to show you is A flat major. And A flat major works because if I have an A flat, I've got the sharp 5, I've got the 11, and I've got the flat 9. Let's check it out. Now, unto itself, if you're just playing over a G7 and it's a 1-chord vamp, you've got a lot of colors you can create. But the thing to try to do is incorporate it in a 2-5-1. And you'll find that these things have nice voice leading. And of course they make nice chords, because if you take the A flat triad and put it over the G, you got a nice chord there. Or D flat and putting a G on top. So they all offer something unique, but this is a good way to start to approach this. Knowing this for all dominant 7 families is important, but I'd start with one dominant 7 and get a grasp on which triad specifically you're targeting. And when you get those down, find them in different inversions, different parts of the neck, and integrate them. That's the best way to do it.